Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the Wild Man Revolution show. I've been super pumped about having this guest on for a while now, and I finally nailed him down. He's a busy, busy man. A lot of you might know him. I don't know if you want to call it an alias or his brand or anything, is ASX Trader. He is popping up everywhere, but I know him as Dave. David Bird, welcome to the podcast, mate. Welcome to the show. So good to have you on.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, thank you. When you reached out a few weeks back, I was like, yes, man, I can't wait to jump on and just have a chit chat to you. Because I know last time we caught up for lunch in Surfers, we just just spoke for hours, didn't we?
Yeah. It was fantastic. Now, the only thing I have with this podcast is like I don't edify anyone really. Like I know a lot
Mm.
about you and all that sort of stuff. And like I say, we had a great catch up last year. We had some great chats and done a couple of little things together. But I see your work out there. But what I generally get is you to tell everyone like tell us a bit about yourself, not only your background, but what's lighting you up or what's really motivating you right now.
Yeah, well, I guess like my career that I first turned into was teaching. All right. So when I finished school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And then it was actually, I think it was my girlfriend's dad at the time. You're pretty got some patience. You're pretty good with kids and stuff. Why don't you check out teaching? I went, all right, I'll give it a crack. So I did that. And to be honest, even throughout doing the degree and that, it just still didn't feel like my calling anyway. But I'm that kind of person when I start something, I see it through. So I got through the whole process, did a 4-year degree, went into teaching, and I was a terrible teacher. Actually, I was that bad that I remember even when I finished my degree, I didn't actually start teaching until I think 9 months into it. And this is something I said to the guys at the graduation over the weekend. So we just had our 12-month course graduation down in Melbourne. And I said, the most growth in your journey will happen from this point forward, not what's happened so far during the learning part, because you've just been absorbing all the theory or the knowledge. It's the practical application and I guess conquering your fears and just getting out there and doing it. That's actually the hardest part because, we are our own worst enemy. And that was me. Like I was doing a job for $20 an hour, climbing in roofs, running cables and shit like that. And I was a qualified teacher and I could have gone and done even supply teaching for $65 an hour, triple my wage. But that fear was really holding me back. Until eventually I did it like 9 months in and I was right. I was terrible. But when you're that bad, there's only one way to go, isn't there? Up. And
Yeah.
that's the thing. So you grow, you reflect, you learn. And then, funnily enough, 5 years later, it was the other way around. I had then beginning teachers coming and watching me teach and, learning from me. And if you would have said that to me 5 years earlier, I would have laughed in your face. But anyway, yeah, did the whole teaching thing, did all that. And then I proposed to my wife in 2015 and we were both teachers. And I kind of just started forward planning your life as you kind of do when you make a big commitment like that. And I was like, oh, wow. We're probably going to really struggle in life if we keep going the way we are, because I know she wanted to be a stay-at-home mum. We went back and saw her family a lot in Canada, like every 12 to 18 months. So I started kind of thinking, I was like, okay, we dropped 100K wage, living off 100K wage, flights back to Canada once a year, things like that. I was like, we're going to really struggle in life. So I started to really think about ways that I could unlock her being able to stay at home and things like that. I'd always been exposed to the investing world because of my dad. I grew up around that thing. I know he made some pretty good coin back in the tech bubble, GFC, stuff like that, just understanding I guess the macro and stuff like that. So yeah, anyway, I gave trading a go. I think I gave it a go for 3 months and made some coin, gave it back, then kind of stopped. Then 2016, 2017 started really getting into it. And yeah, made some really good money for that 2017 crypto bull run that I'm sure you were probably all part of. That was when the public started to really get involved, and I think I'd made nearly 200K during that run. And I was like, I feel like the market's topping out here. But then I was like, I jumped on YouTube and they're all saying, man, we're going to the moon. This is just beginning, Bitcoin futures, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, well, I've only been doing this for a few years. They probably know more than I do. And then gave it all back. So, 200K back to, I think, got down to 12K at the lowest. But the thing is, when you're up at that 200K, what do you think I was doing? I was planning my early retirement. I was I was, thinking about my mansion, my Lamborghini, or all these kind of things. You're already spending the money that you don't have, kind of thing. But I think the thing that really unlocked for me was that I was like, well, hang on, if I could make that kind of money not really knowing what I'm doing, imagine if I actually applied myself and learned this stuff and actually mastered it, how much I could. And I guess even though I lost all that money, what I did learn was that I didn't have to trade my time for money, and that there was this way of getting money other ways. And, I always loved that game, Monopoly. I used to love playing it with anyone I could. And, you can't play and win Monopoly by just going around that board and collecting $200. Yet that's how 99% of people live their life. They collect a salary once a year and they expect to get ahead. And you actually don't win Monopoly that way. You do it by, it's other people's turn, landing on your property. It's that passive income, that kind of thing. But, as a kid, you're real literally like, oh, yeah, well, obviously, if I buy properties and this and that, but I don't have that money, but that's just one way that you can do it. So, yeah, anyway, studied throughout that whole 2018. Like I'm talking, again, I've got ADD. So when I commit to something, it's all in. Like I'm absorbed in it, So probably, even though I was working 30 hours a week, 40 hours a week, I was probably doing study 30, 40 hours a week as well, and just absorbed. And then, yeah, and that's it. And then I was able to take advantage of the next kind of run. So I guess the cool thing from that is going through all the journeys and making all the mistakes and being self-taught. Everyone looks at me going, oh man, you were just a naturally born trader investor. I was like, hell no, I wasn't. Hell no. I've made every mistake under the sun more than once. I'm just really stubborn, and I'm not doing all that for nothing, So I guess the great thing is I can pass on all my experience and all my knowledge onto others now. And what really lights me up is seeing other people like winning now. I was saying just on the weekend to the guys, I've made an absolute killing the last couple of weeks from all the commodities going crazy, like platinum, silver, etc. But you get to a point where money is just money, and that doesn't excite you. But what does excite me is the 50 messages that I got from people saying, "Hey, man, you have no idea how much that changed my world," and this and that, and things like that. So, and I guess that comes back to my inner reasons why I became a primary school teacher in the first place, was to make a difference in people's lives. But back then, I thought you could only do it with kids. I never even thought about that you can make it with adults. And I guess that's the same stuff that you're doing as well, man. Like the difference that you're making in people's lives, emotionally, and unlocking that stuff is just as important, man.
It's the thing that you've touched on there that I think highlights you anyway. And I've got to know you a little bit now. Like there's plenty of people educating in the investment space and crypto and all that sort of stuff. You can go and learn all you can learn all the strategies, you can learn all that, but the one thing that stands out for you is your passion to be able to see it. You can tell from you that that's the driver, is you just want to see people win. And again, like it's a combination of things. You probably didn't set off trading and everything. You set off yourself. Like you say, you're like, well, I'm in teaching now. This isn't going to pay for my wife to be a stay-at-home mom and all that. Like there's something else I've got to do. It didn't start by going, all right, I'm going to go educate people on like trading and investment and stuff like that. That came as you worked on the skill yourself, as you got results, both shitty and good. And I think that's what a lot of people miss here. It's like I work with a lot of people who are already helping other people, but they're always coming from that place first where they're still in their learning of the skills or learning of the lessons, and they sort of get stuck in that, and they lose that flame, and it sort of becomes just like, I'm just doing another job, really. But for you, I see that standing out, and it's so good to hear about. Like I see it online a lot, like your clients and everything. I also see the banter. I love that, but we can get to that soon. One thing I want to go back to too is like the teaching aspect. It's one thing to have a skill, but then it's another thing to turn it into an offering or a teaching where people actually absorb it and actually get results. And that's one thing for me. I can like hearing you to be a teacher, like a school teacher. Like for me, I didn't even realize I was good at teaching. Like I was a supervisor in my earth moving company for a long time, since I was early 20s, but I never saw myself as a good teacher. But when I got out of it, I look back, I'm like, shit, I was good at teaching people stuff. Like I was actually good at it. And that shows in what I do a lot now. But with this teaching aspect of what you're teaching, like you're teaching technical analysis, fundamentals, psychology, all these sorts of things in the market. How do you find that now, like the teaching of that? compared to what you were teaching like as a school teacher?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. So back in the day, I really loved teaching what I was teaching because what it was they would say, you're teaching a narrative. Okay. And then with that, I could then be put on my creative lens and teach it how I wanted to teach it. So for me, I was like, I think the one that they recommended was do it something like on the twits or something like that. I was like, guys, screw the twits. We're going to design our own superhero. You're going to create your own superhero. We're going to then do it. We're going to create his backstory. We're going to create then the villain that goes against it. And we're going to create a narrative around, this superhero, and you make it more engaging and that kind of thing. So I loved teaching when it was doing that kind of thing, because what I loved getting was engagement out of the kids that you didn't typically get engagement out of, and I still remember, like, I used to run an alternative curriculum for the students from like four to six kind of thing. And I still remember, like, these are kids that have been suspended throughout their whole life, like, always been written off by prior teachers, etc. And I still remember
That's this guy right here, man. This is this.
Is it? Yeah. Yeah. And I used to love getting those kids, and then they wouldn't get one suspension under me whatsoever. Why? Because I built relationships with them.
Yeah.
I would start the very first day with, I don't care if you've been expelled, suspended. I don't care what you've done. You've all got a clean slate. I haven't even looked into your prior rap sheet. Whereas typically teachers like look at, oh man, this could do it. And then, they're planning, they've already got a preconceived notion of what this person is, but just because that student was like that for that person doesn't mean they're going to be like that with you. Okay. So building those relationships, but yeah, I still remember just seeing a couple of the kids are saying, oh man, I've never actually understood this before. And now I'm getting it. And just those light bulb moments going off. And that was just that big, like, oh, wow, I'm making a difference.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm now seeing now in this space. That same thing where I'm seeing adults that have been in this space for years and just, they're craving that financial freedom and this and that. And I'm just now again seeing that, oh, wow, that was a light bulb moment. Oh my, I can't believe I just kind of, now I get it, and that to me is that thing that just lights me up. Yeah. You just get that. Yeah. Just that, something just finally clicks for those people, So I think the main difference between what I was doing, what I'm doing now is I've kind of combined two passions. So before was the passion was teaching, but not so much the content. Now it's like, well, hang on, I love trading. I love looking at charts. I love learning about the financial markets, and I love teaching. So I guess the difference now is I've combined two passions, and that's, yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. It's a big part of it. Like a lot of my clients, let's say, or my marketplaces, like I really target like men in middle life. I do. And a lot of the thing that they're missing is the passion, the drive. They've lost the drive or they've lost the passion. They're trying to find it again. And it's easy for me now sitting here go, well, I know what lights me up. Like it's easier. Like I'll go away camping and fishing and hiking, but I also love what I do. I love not only the teaching of things, but I love creating some of the things. Like some of the stuff I do, I didn't create it, but putting my own spin on it so it's digestible, like finding a way like you did with the kids. And then you seeing the aha, oh, wow, they get it. But seeing in you, it's like, oh, what I'm doing is like that creative aspect is huge. And it's a big piece I see missing for a lot of men. What would you say to people out there now? Because we can talk, we're living it now. Like we're living this day after day. We see it for us. But what about people out there now that are sort of in a spot in life that are maybe missing some of that passion piece or that fire? What would you share with them to maybe, I don't know, inspire, motivate, highlight?
I know exactly what to say. And this is the thing, you're told as a child, get good grades, get a good job, this and that. And the funny thing is, all the people I know that did that got good grades, that then went and got the job, whether it was a lawyer or this or that, they didn't actually like the job. What they did was they got it to get that pat on the back. Yes, you got the really good job, high paying job, and you got the thing that I can kind of make my parents proud and that kind of thing. It doesn't necessarily mean that was their passion. So what I always say now is follow what you like doing, because if you think about anything that you're good at in life, it was things that you enjoyed doing, wasn't it? Whether it was a sport, art, rock climbing, video games, you did those things because you enjoyed doing them. And because you enjoyed doing them, it didn't seem like work. And as you know, it takes 10,000 hours to master anything. And when you enjoy doing something, those 10,000 hours come very, very quickly. So follow your passion, follow your dream, and just try and find whatever it is that you enjoy doing. Try and make it that's how you get your income. So if you love scuba diving and snorkeling, find a job that involves that. If you love sport, find a job that involves that. If you love, helping others, find a job that involves that. So that would be my biggest advice, because if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And that's the thing. You actually, because that's what wakes you up in the morning. Why does Leonardo DiCaprio still do movies? The guy could buy his own private island and bang supermodels for the rest of his life, but then he's got no purpose. So you got to have something that wakes you up in the morning. And this is what I'm always telling people, because before they start my course, I always say, what's your why for doing the course? And they're like, financial freedom or early retirement. I was like, you don't want that. You don't want early retirement. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, because do you know how boring early retirement is? Like, you think retirement is your Christmas holidays where all your friends and all your family are off with you and you're celebrating, you're having drinks, that kind of stuff. But early retirement is during the week, all your friends and family are at school or work, you're begging for people to hang out with, you're looking for things to do. You kind of love it for a few months, maybe a year tops, but then you get very bored very quickly. If you don't have a purpose, if you don't have a reason to wake up, everything in moderation. You find you always want the things that you can't get. And right now, when you're working 50 hours a week, you want holidays, don't you? Because you're working. But when you've only got holidays, you're then looking for something else. Like, man, I'm bored of just doing nothing. I want something else. So having that balance is really, really important. And I had a conversation with Ali Day just recently, because he jumped on for our program as well, and he's now retiring from his Ironman. Pretty much the Michael Jordan of Ironman, done all that. And I said, man, and I asked him, I said, how are you going to deal with the transition now? Because, for the last 15 years, you've had a purpose. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to train to be, the next gold medalist again for this and that. But if you're not going for that anymore, how are you going to deal with that mental transition of having a major purpose to not? And that's why you get these, these star athletes and stuff like that start getting depression and stuff like that, because they go from having something to wake up for and being in the limelight to then not having anything,
Yeah, 100%.
Mm.
A few things come. I've got a client like that right now. Former motocross champion, lived that life for 20, 25 years, and he's in this transition. He's consciously aware of this, though, and that's the cool thing about it. Again, having me support him on the side to work through things to really discover that. And athletes isn't the only thing. You see it with mums and dads. You see it a lot with mums. The kids grow up.
Yes.
They're still attached to being a mum. The dads, maybe
Yep.
not so much, but they're throwing themselves into career. So this is such an important conversation, not only to have, but for anyone tuning in and listening, this is what a lot of people find themselves in life. But what I see, it does go, people do go into the depression, or they do go to just sedate the feeling, and they do take up a habit or a behavior that's actually not very beneficial or healthy or anything like that. One other thing that was coming through, I love this topic of purpose. Because I think it's not as clear cut as people make it. Like, I've seen plenty of courses in the coaching space, discover your purpose, find your purpose, but it is about your passion. It is about what lights you up. And there is a curiosity piece. It might take time. It's not linear. It's not like, all right, just do this and you're going to land on it. You got to still probably go through a process for a while. Again, I can actually point to a couple of clients, but I remember Elon Musk saying, and this is a bit left of field, what reminded me of purpose. He was in an interview. Love him or hate him, but he was in a video. Someone asked him about all these robots. What would happen in fast forward 10 years and you've got these millions of robots around the world? What are people going to do? They're going to be out of these jobs. And he goes, well, it's really simple. They just need to find something that gives them purpose. He goes, most people don't want to do all the shit they're doing right now. They've just got to find something. And I was listening. I don't know if listeners were listening with the ears I was, but I heard that. I'm like, well, I'm sweet.
Yeah.
But it's so true. It's so true. It's like, we get so caught up in this thing where it's like, we'll wait till we retire and then we'll find more meaning in life. Like, why not look at what you've got going on now and start making decisions aligned to that now and bring more of that into your life now? You don't have to have a definitive, oh, this is my purpose. But it's like, you got to have stuff that lights you up now. You got to bring something in. If you don't have it now, you got to be actively bringing it in. And might sound
working
really
towards
simple.
it.
100%. I've had to turn the thing. Like, I don't know if you've seen the sun come.
I did. There was a line going down the middle, like you were getting cut in half.
Oh, wow.
No, and this is the thing I always say as well, is like we automatically go to best case scenario in the fact that we all think we're going to die at 80 or 90. Like that's what we're going. Like, okay, well, I'm 40, turning 42 this year, and I'll be like, okay, I'm halfway through my life. But that's best case scenario. This is what people don't realize. I could only have 5 years. I could only have 1 year. I could die tomorrow. You don't know. You don't know what's going to happen. So this is the thing. People are kind of going, oh, I'll just battle through these next couple of decades and then I'll enjoy the last couple of decades. You might not get those last couple of decades.
Yeah.
All right. So then you've just lived a shitty life and then you die and you don't get to that end point because you're betting on the best case scenario that might never eventuate. So this is why they always say live every day like it's your last, because you just never know if it is your last. And then you've got to be working towards that goal as quick as possible.
Yeah. And I got that shock like in my mid-30s when I was working in the mines, had the great career, had the great job, 250K a year, no dramas. I could just keep doing that forever. But I was miserable, unhappy, and lacking a lot of it, like drive for life there. And it took a mate committing suicide for me to go, holy fuck, he's gone. I thought he was happy. Holy shit, is this the path I want to be taking? Is this really? And it was a no. It still took me 2 years of being in that fear of like, shit, what else is there? And all these sorts of things. And then it took me making lots of mistakes. I became a PT, hated that. That was not my thing because I love health and I love working my body. But I was like, there's no way I'm doing that. But these decisions I made on the journey kept moving me forward and bringing me closer to it. And I'm extremely grateful that my own path brought me to what I do now. But again, a lot of people give up or they'll sit in that fear zone, I'll say. They'll know that they've got enough pain in their life. And it's like, well, here's all the evidence I've got enough pain. I don't want to be doing this forever, but it's all I know. Or it's like, I can't go out and learn a new thing because I'm like 35 or I'm 45 or anything. You're in the field that I think not only makes it possible for people, it can happen really fast if they get in the space and they're like, you know what, I've got all this evidence of this pain in my life, or I know that there's not long left in my life and I really want to make the most of it. That's what I love about what you offer. It's like, not only is it, there is the possibility and probability of you making some money pretty bloody quick if you're disciplined, if you're committed, if you do the work, if you apply yourself and all that. And I say pretty quick, 12 months. I'm going to say 12 months. I'm not going to put it out there. It's like, oh, just learn how to trade for a month and you're going to make heaps of money. Possible. But if you commit to yourself in your space for a year, I would say just about anything's possible, monetary wise. It's a longer game you can play, but I don't know. I've been in the space for a decade myself, and back to 2017, I probably made 400 or 500 grand. I didn't count how much I lost. It was probably more, but I didn't know much myself. But back then I took a different path. I didn't go in and want to master all that sort of stuff. I kept the level of skill I had and I just made better decisions. But for me, I just went down this path. But for anyone out there right now who, the listeners and the viewers that are sitting on staff, they might have dabbled in a few things. What would you say about us? Like if they will go, I'm looking for something, whereas what you guys do or anything, I'm looking for something. What's possible for me if I actually apply myself in, again, what you offer? What would you say to someone out there like that?
Yeah, so definitely, like you said, this kind of thing is not a get-rich-quick scheme at all. 100% not. If anything, it's very difficult in the fact that it's not that difficult to learn the skills, but what is very difficult is you. It'll be you. I always say you are your own worst enemy. Because it's funny all the time. I'm like, they'll post this chart and it's the perfect thing, but then they won't take the trade or they won't exit the trade because when they won't take the trade because they're scared, or they won't exit the trade because they're greedy and they're like, oh, but what if it keeps going up? And there's actually been studies done. I remember a professional trader actually did a signal group for a month and all they had to do was follow his exact system. And if they did it, he ended up having like 100 and something percent growth. But literally not even one person followed every single trade because they got greedy when the trade was up there. Like, oh, but it keeps going. or they got scared because when he bought them, it was like max fear and stuff like that as well. But isn't that funny? Not one single person ended up following, even though they all signed up knowing he was the professional, he knew what he was doing, but it was their emotions that stopped them from doing it. And that's it. Like there's a student, I won't say his name, but he'd been trying for 5 years and he had the skill there, but he couldn't master his psychology. He kept getting in his own head and he's finally done it. He just did it about 6 months ago and now he's on cloud nine. He's like, oh, I've been trying for 5 years to get this done. And now he's on cloud nine because he doesn't have to go back to work and he's finally making more money than when he was at work, and he's finally got that dream that he was after. So I think answering your question in, I guess, realistic of what kind of expectations, etc. Like the way I've designed my course is like to turn into a profitable full-time trader is it's 12 months. And I kind of say it's an hour a day. Okay. Yep. And Arnold Schwarzenegger said this himself, Arnie's funny because for those that don't know his story, they just think, oh, he's an action hero, this or that. But if you actually learn his story, he got to the top of his field in 3 different things, all completely, movie star. He was the #1 action star in the world. Bodybuilding, he's considered the GOAT of bodybuilding. And then politics, he went as high as he can physically go in the politic world, not being American as well. So it's totally separate fields that he went to top of them. And it was all through knowing that you've got to put in at least an hour a day into something and just bust your ass. He's famous saying no pain, no gain kind of thing. But I know that throughout any journey, throughout anything, there's ups and downs. And if you commit to something for a year, there's going to be ups and downs. And what most people go wrong is the first down, they give up. Yep. Or the second down, they give up. The third down, they give up. But by investing in yourself and investing that kind of money up front as well, it kind of helps battle you through that period because you just got to stick with it. And that's the key. If you ask anyone that's successful, it's like, just don't quit.
Yep.
If you love it and if you love doing it, just don't give up. Some people it takes 6 months. Some people it takes a year. Some people it takes 5 years. Matt Rife, you probably heard him, that famous comedian that's going around now. He's like the new up and coming, like selling out massive stadiums, $20 million a year kind of thing. Everyone goes, oh, he was an overnight success. No, he wasn't. He did stand-up comedy for 13 years before getting to that level, but all you hear about is he just got famous and it's an overnight success. No, he could have easily have given up on his dream. 13 years, don't know if I could have stuck with trading for 13 years. I was just lucky it didn't take that long. So yeah, I guess the trick is if you love what you do, you will get there. It's just a matter of time. Just don't quit.
100%, man. I see so many people give up before they actually get the tangible results. They see any difference. And they'll be more than happy to go back to that pain that they said was too much once upon a time. But the perceived pain of actually sticking at it, overcoming more challenges, losing more trades, because it's part of the game. You need the lessons. You actually need the lessons. It's as simple as it doesn't matter what you're in. If you don't get the lessons, how can you get what I call data and feedback to make adjustments? How can you then apply the lessons to make improvements? You can't. I'm in the world of non-tangibles. Like the work I do, I sell products. There's nothing physical. It's basically based on, well, I've got the skills. I can teach you. Here's a path that's worked for others. And then you've got to walk the path. Without the person walking the path and continuing to work the path, they don't get any result. And they don't get to the point where the tangible is, well, I have a more loving relationship with my wife, or I can actually see now that I'm physically changing and my health is here, or my business, the way I show up in my business now, I feel way more confident. They're non-tangibles. And it's I see so many people give up, be it 3 months, be it 6 months. Some people will get results in 3 months. Some people will get results. But as you get then caught in the comparison, then it's another reason why you're like, well, if
that's the hardest part, comparison.
I should be here after 3 months, right? We call it the 3-month zone in coaching. People get to 3 months, 2 things happen. They've got enough results to get away from their pain and they're like, I don't need it anymore. Or they haven't seen enough tangible results. So they're like, well, this is not working.
Yeah, 100%. No, that's what I'm always saying to my students, because what they'll see is they'll see someone killing it early on. And because they see them killing it, they're like, oh, well, maybe it's just not for me. Like they've got it and I haven't. But then it's like, you don't know their prior knowledge. Like you don't know that that person that's doing that actually has been trading for 5 years. They just finally got the click, finally all click for them. You've just come in and just started the journey. So you can't compare yourself to them. This is why I always say you got to run your own race. Only ever compare yourself to your prior self. And that's something that I really believe in myself. There's always going to be someone better than you. There's always going to be someone worse off than you as well. So the only thing you can do is compare yourself to your prior self and go, have I gotten better? Have I improved my journey? Have I improved what I have done? And if you can say yes to that, then that is one step closer to your goal. Lots of small steps will get to that destination.
Compounded interest over time. That's what it is. I've got a mastery program right now, and this is why I love mastering the markets. It's in the word, and it's like it's daily repetition every day, doing the same stuff again and again. And I do it in 90-day chunks, and it's fascinating. I do experiments in there as well. Even though my clients, I want to do their best, I'm very honest and real with them. I'm like, out of this, generally there's 99. There's 1 out of 100 that'll do every day and every task I've set you in here for 3 months. 1 out of 100. And when I got 1 out of 10, I was celebrating, even though I'm a coach, and I'm like, hey, there's some improvements for me to be made, and let's do this. I'm like, let's be real here. They're the numbers. It's like my clients I see as like in the top 1% if they can do that for 90 days, because doing the discipline, the little things every day, the mundane, the things you might even call boring, you don't see the tangibles yet. They do add up over time. And then it's like, might be one more little thing, be it in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and you're like, and you actually pause to reflect, or you actually like, I have processes that help people reflect and questions, but you're looking like, holy shit, that whole, I view that different, or I handle that way different than I did back then. And like, I think, again, what I'm getting at is people just need to be more patient with themselves. If they've lived a life of 45 years doing it one way and they've got to here, they can't expect to get results of what they've done in 45 years in 3 or 6 months. They can't. They've got to unlearn. They've got to learn. They've got to unlearn more.
Yeah.
The psychology side of it always, I feel like I'm still in this like real curiosity phase with like what I do and the understanding of I call it emotional fitness, like helping people become emotional fit, be able to handle stressful situations better, make decisions better, be more intuitive, these sorts of things. How I get them there, that's a whole other podcast. For anyone listening, go check out my podcast I did on the Center for Healing podcast with Matt Nettleton. Then it'll go in that realm. But for you, what my curiosity piece is, I see it in trading. It can be a high pressure, high stakes sort of skill set or vehicle, you could say, for people. And you mentioned it already, you alluded to already. Most people, that example you gave of the guy who set up a signal group, there's evidence out there. Most people wouldn't even follow because they let their own stuff come in and make basically unconscious decisions, be greedy, be in fear, or anything like that. How do you go about, I don't know if you want to say teaching people, laying it out for people, giving your clients clarity around the importance of the psychology and what you do?
Yeah. We go on that a lot. And with the actual trading and investing as well, we do a lot of talk around, you got to remember, markets are designed for us to lose. It's like a casino. Casinos would not exist if everyone that walked in there walked out with money, because they'd be an unprofitable business. But what they know is it's all about having probabilities in your favor, etc. So they know that 7 out of 10 that walk in are going to walk out losers. They also know that out of those 7 that walk out losers, they're not going to go out shouting from the rooftops that, man, I just lost thousands of dollars, are they? They're going to be very like, oh, ashamed and that they did it. But the 3 that come in and did make money, they're going to go out there and start telling them, oh man, I made a killing at the casino last night and that. So this is the thing, the ones that, so they've got the probabilities in their favor. They know they've got 7 out of 10 that are going to bring them money. They know the 3 out of 10 that they're going to be their biggest cheerleaders, telling them to keep doing it, etc. And it's just that cycle goes on and on. So by knowing that the stacks are chipped against you, that the markets are designed for you to lose, you've almost got to do the opposite to what the masses are doing. Okay. And this is how I ended up getting my following online because, back when COVID bottomed, we've just bottomed. No, you're an idiot. Don't you know the world's collapsing? Okay. It got that. The 2022 top, same thing. NASDAQ's top to oh, you're an idiot. The Bitcoin, stuff like that. So it was these outlandish calls that are against the masses. But you've got to remember the markets are designed for you to lose. So if everyone's saying one thing, it's because they wanted you to say that one thing so they could sell into you, etc. So what we try and plan and tell the guys is when you enter on something, you enter on data and you've got to exit on data. Okay. And this is the thing. Most people fail because they enter on data, but they exit on emotions. So they enter because, oh, there's a good setup, this and that, but they sell in fear. Oh, but there's a bit of red, or they don't sell because of greed, that kind of thing. So what we do is we forward plan. The minute you enter, you then go, okay, if I'm wrong, I'm going to exit here. If I'm right, I'm going to exit here. But you've done that when you're calm and you're collected before you've got any fear or before you've got any greed. So you've already identified the areas where you should be getting out, and that will kind of help with that psychology. But you've got to really kind of, it is a tough one. Like even the psychology of why people get started, motivate their why. Their motivation will get them started, but it won't keep them there. Just like people always sign up to gyms at the beginning of the year to plan to get fit that year, they'll get started, they'll get motivated, but then unless they actually bring in that discipline, and that discipline turns into then a habit, like you talked about doing your 90-day challenge, they won't get results. So motivation gets you started. That motivation needs to turn into discipline. That discipline needs to turn into a habit. And then once you've got a habit will bring success. And that's what you've noticed with your thing. The people that actually follow the process and, they'll get started with you, but most of them won't turn that motivation into then discipline, which is doing your daily tasks. And then after you've done that daily task for whatever it is, 3 weeks, that discipline turns then into a habit. People have the habit of, I work Monday to Friday, 9 till 5, because they know I have to get up on a Monday morning, because if I don't, I'm not getting paid. So that is just their habit. That habit is I work Monday 9 till 5. Why not then, go with that same mindset is I don't have a choice, just like you don't have a choice to get up for work that Monday. And that's the problem people don't do. They don't actually go in with that mindset of I have to do this. It's I'm choosing to do this, and I can choose whether or not I want to do it today or not. Again, going back to Ani, don't have a plan B. Plan A only. There is no backup plan. When you got a backup plan, a job to fall back on, like it's the odd saying, when you've got a job, you won't go and get another job because you've got no motivation. But if you quit your job, guaranteed you'll have a job within a week or two because there's no paycheck coming in,
100%, 100%. I love David Goggins. I can't remember whether he was on stage talking about this or in an interview. He was literally like, someone asked him about all the YouTubers out there doing these, do this for 30 days to create this new habit, this challenge for 30 days and it'll change your life. And he was basically calling them out. He's like, they can all basically go get stuffed. He goes, they don't know what they're talking about. He goes, I tell you what, he goes, commit to something for 12 months. Tell me you're doing it now. Come back and see me in 12 months and you'll forget to tell me about it because it's just a part of who you are now.
Yep.
Because it's just become a part of what you do. And that's the mindset that I basically live by. Now, I don't always get it right. There's things that get in my way and things that come up and life happens. But I know that a lot of the disciplines I have in my life, I even call them disciplines. I don't say it's like I'm disciplined.
Yeah,
Listen, these are my disciplines. These are my practices. Like I practice them every day. Like a simple thing like I've done cold showers. Don't worry about all the benefits and that. I've done it every day except for 4 days because I had an injury and that would not have helped my injury. 4 days for the last nearly 2 years. That's something that I'm disciplined with because of what I've got a desired outcome. It gives me a desired outcome in line with other things. And people hear that. And it's like, why would you do it every day? Why didn't you just do it till like you notice the change? I'm like, no, because it gave me the result. And now I'm getting more results built on top of that discipline. Now I get up in the morning and go, oh, I've got to have a cold shower. No, it's unconscious. It's like, and I think with 100% any skill, like I would see you now that you could probably sit down. I know you're an avid learner, but because I see you still going and getting qualifications and all that sort of stuff. But at the same time, you've probably got so many skills now that you teach that just come to you naturally from the outside, but you've put in so many hours to get to a point where you're not getting on there and go, oh, what do I do here? What do I do? You're literally just like, this is what you do, this is what you do, this is what you do, this is what you do. What would you say to people out there that are maybe a year or 2 or 3 in? We've already touched on this, but I want to really sort of ram this home for people to stick at it. But what would you say to them about the skills that you teach if they're still 2, 3, 4 years down and they're still not seeing the
results? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how to stay motivated if you have given it and you're like, man, I should be there by now because others aren't, and I'm not yet. Good question. So from there, first of all, I'd have an honest conversation with myself and be like, have I followed everything that I should have done? Have I done, have I been on every call? Have I done my charts every day? Have I been consistent? Am I journaling? Am I reflecting and growing, that kind of thing? I'm a massive believer in reflection is the key to growth. Okay. And I'll show you an example, not even in the trading space, but why trading, investing, like journaling is so important. Let's go to like the gym. Okay. So I go to the gym every day, not every day, but my 3-4 times a week, that's 5:30 till 6:30, because I know at 6:30, I've got to get breakfast ready for the kids, get them ready and ship them off. I could go to the gym when they go off at 8 o'clock. And I could go, once they're all off, go to the gym 8:30 till 9:30 or something like that and do it then. But when I actually back tested the data, I probably only went, I think 60% of the time at 8:30, because by the time I got them off, depending on the morning, I was tired or a phone call would come in or something would happen and I just wouldn't get there. However, if I did go at 5:30 before any distractions come in, there's any excuse, I went 99% of the time, because I would wake up and I would go, there was nothing to kind of stop me from going. So even though, I could easily go, oh, whatever, I'm not going to wake up early, I'll wait till they go. The data told me if I did that, there was more chance of me not going than going. So I make sure I get up at 5:30, even though I don't have to wake up at 5:30, I could wake up at 6:30 and, and sometimes go. I looked at that data and said, I've got to do that. So it's the same thing with trading and investing and stuff. Like if you're not looking at where you're going wrong, like you might be very successful at swing trading, but then when you go to crypto on the 5-minute, you realize that you're really bad. But if you don't have that data telling you that that's the thing, how are you supposed to improve? How are you supposed to get better? So yeah, that data, looking at data would be the key to growth. So that's where then I'd be like, okay, I would say if you're not successful yet, show me all of your journaling, all of your things and then show me the things that you've implemented to combat these things, or if you just kind of half-assed it, and I guarantee most people that haven't got success is because they've half-assed it. And I always say, if you treat it like a hobby, expect hobby results. If you treat it like a profession, you'll be a professional.
It just highlights, again, coming back to it. And I've got exactly the same philosophy. It's like, instead of the emotional assumptions of why you're not working or why you haven't got results, it's like use the data and the feedback. Having structures in place that can track that. I love journaling for many things. It's like with money. It's like profit and loss. It's like track the numbers. Don't let the emotion do the talking, because when emotion does the talking, or the stories or the inner narrative, you're expressing all your limitations basically. But it's like,
yeah.
So we've 100%. Got exactly the same. Yeah.
Yeah. I get this question a bit like, oh, I'm just not getting it yet. Can we do a one-on-one or something like that? And I was like, all right, send me your last 10 trades and your journals, and I'll unpack and see where you're going. Oh, I haven't got that. Okay, well, there's your problem. Yep. Like, how am I supposed to find what's going on if you can't find what's going on? So yeah, no, you've got to, data is so important. And that's what we did, back at school. How did we know kids were doing well in maths and English if we didn't have data to check it out? How did we know what areas to work on if we weren't looking at data? So yeah, data is super important. And for your part, you've got that data of So what do you guys do? They do like certain tasks and have to tick it off each day or something like that?
Yeah, they got
Yeah.
sets of questions. So it's like
Yeah.
not only just doing a task, it's like it's developing a certain mindset and an emotional intelligence by the questions I
Yeah.
ask. But they've got that. I got like an incentivized part of it where they watch they watch some of my breath work, or they watch one of my teachings or anything. So they get points and everything. So there's these set tasks to do. And then they've got a score of out of 100. It's like, do that, you score out of 100, you get to see that over time. You got different levels you're at. It's really
Yeah.
simple, and it's pretty ambiguous too. Like I could be a total hard ass, but that doesn't serve. But I'm like, it's a bit ambiguous. They get to self score and get to self report, but they got to show up. And it's like, I can tell any of them, they get on one of my coaching calls and they want coaching on something that's come up on one of the trainings from weeks before. I'm like, oh, cool. Did you do that training? Oh, no. I'm like, cool. I'm not going to coach you live on the call now. Like, you go do the reporting and then come back to me and see if you got clarity then.
Yeah.
There's just
Yeah.
one of
Nah,
the many ways.
100%.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think us as teachers, we need that too, because otherwise, if we've got no data and feedback from what they're doing, from how they're going, or even our own journey to look at, this worked for me, this didn't. How do I know it worked? Well, this is the result I got based on this. All right, this didn't work. How do I actually know? Was it because I just felt like crap and I felt ashamed and felt guilty? No, it's because I did this and I didn't do this is usually the thing. I didn't do this when I knew I should have, and then it left me here. Okay. And it's so simple too. Again, in the game you're in, and it is a big game, if you can take as much of the emotion out of it, the probability and possibility of you being a successful trader and investor goes up exponentially. Like exponentially. Keep the emotional attachment to your why button. I think that's an important piece.
Yeah, you've always got to, yeah. And that's it. And the thing people don't realize is the thing they're avoiding doing is where the most growth will happen. And that's it. Because you got to, I was talking about like Shaq, Shaquille O'Neal, was one of the best basketball players, and he had this massive flaw in his free throws. And I was like, if he worked on his rebounding, it wouldn't really have improved his data that much. But if he had worked on his free throws, he had like a 40% free throw rate. If he had got that up to 80%, he would have been the best basketball player of all time if he had joked, because the most growth is coming in the area he didn't want to work on. And that's the thing I try and say with the guys. I'm like, no one wants to do paperwork. My mate runs a cable business, and he has to do hours and hours of paperwork every week. But he has to do the paperwork because he doesn't get paid unless he gets it. So he has motivation to do it because he does that. The problem is, and when I was at uni, I had to do reflections on my lessons, and I had to do lesson plans. I didn't want to do them, but because I was kept accountable and I had to hand them in, they were done. The problem with trading and investing and your thing as well is that there's no one there keeping them accountable. There's no one saying you have to do this before you take a trade. You have to do this before that. You have to do your journal entry. And when you have to keep yourself accountable, that's when mistakes will happen. That's where then you are your own worst enemy. That's why you won't succeed. And that's why I always say you will be the reason why you don't succeed, no one else. And going back to the gym, it was the same. I used to go with my best mate, and every morning we would go and we kept each other accountable. If you weren't there, where are you, pussy? Why aren't you? That kind of thing. But once you don't have that person there keeping you accountable, you know what? I might just sleep in tonight. This morning, and you haven't got that person keeping you accountable. So my next best thing would be try and find someone else that has the passion, find a buddy, and have an accountable buddy, someone that's there. Have you done this? Have you done that? Those areas of growth that you need to do, have someone there keeping you accountable for it. Because the biggest thing is most of us don't have a strong enough mindset to keep ourselves accountable. So we need someone else to do it for us.
100%. And I think that's where I know I'm accountable to practice what I preach. That's a big thing for me. It's like, well, if I'm going to be teaching this stuff, I need to be embodied in this. I need to be doing it. And I need to have been able to do it from a point where I've got enough data and feedback to say, well, this has worked for me. This didn't work for me. I can go out and read a book and learn some stuff and teach it, but that's not how I roll. And I know that comes across in it. But again, a lot of my clients are not at that point. And sometimes a lot of people out there won't get into spaces like ours because it's like, oh, I've got to invest money. Well, I want to save that money for this. You've just given a great example where you don't have to invest any money. You just need to get out of your own way and ask for some support, or go, hey, can you keep me accountable on this? I've got this going on. Get together with some friends or stuff. Say, hey, there's another problem with a lot of people too. They don't have friends that want to lift them up. They've got shitty friends. So you're going to find out. You need to find
Yep.
out now if you've got shitty friends or good friends. You need to go, okay, I've got these goals. Maybe I'm not in a space where I don't understand investing myself right now, or I don't understand that. It's like, ask, like, hey, can you support me on this? And I'll support you. Can we like sit down and just talk about what are your goals at the gym now? Like for the next 90 days, I want to do this, or I want to do steps per day, or it doesn't have to be a big thing. But when you start to, what I see, start to bring that mindset and that level of resourcefulness into your life, that starts to flow into other areas of your life. And at the end of the day, you mightn't value growth now, but that's where real growth comes. When you start to value growth, you're going to you're going to become more resourceful. You're going to become more accountable easier. Again, I've got no one holding my hand up when I get up at 5 o'clock every morning and it's fucking freezing cold and I've got to turn the shower on. There's no one there going, you got to do this, because I've just got enough, I don't know, times
Discipline
in there, discipline in there, that it's like that. And again, I know for me, and I know probably for you, we just want to see people win as well. And what we're sharing here, it's not new. Be disciplined, show up, do the little things, compound it. It's not new, but we have our own way to support people to do that. Tell us a bit more about mastering the markets and like the intricacies of the things you got going, because it's a really growing, like it's an evolution for you. What I see from the outside, it seems like it's just getting more bigger and more impactful.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit
Well,
about what goes on in there.
Yeah, well, like as you know, the whole thing stemmed from a charity cohort back in the day. So when I turned 40, I was just like, you know what, I had a little kid at the time, so I wasn't going to go travel, and I've traveled the world anyway. I was like, you know what, I want to do something different. And I lost my father to suicide, 7 years ago now. And again, this is why I stemmed that he worked his whole life to get that financial freedom to get early retirement. And he loved it for about 3 years. And then after 3 years, diagnosed with depression, because he went from having purpose, and he's such a people person, to then not having purpose, not having his community, those kind of things. And he kind of started to lose his way, So this is why I'm a big advocate on, find your tribe, find your people, find your purpose, because you want to, you want that financial freedom and that time back, but you also, like, what are you going to do with that time as well? It's got to be something that, that lights you up, But yeah, from that charity cohort, we just got so much feedback from the students going, man, this is amazing. I can't believe how much I've learned just in this 40 days. Please tell me there's something else. And I was just like, and I was just lucky that my brother at the time also finished up his job, and he's quite tech handy, etc., and business savvy. So I was like, Ads, I don't want to do that side at all. Like, I'm not business minded at all. And that I'm just a teacher and a trader. But if you want to come in and take care of that part, I'll take care of this part. And together, let's see, these guys are crying out for this. Let's give it a crack. And yeah, then launched the course. The thing sold out in, I think it was like 48 hours or something like that. And then the next couple of weeks, I kept getting emails from people saying, man, I can't believe I missed it. Like, I don't want to wait another year. Can you, is there any chance doing another one? So then I was like, oh, Ads, I think I could probably fit two groups in. So that's the April cohort that just graduated. That happened. But then we started getting more. And then I was like, well, I can do them during the day, but people aren't free during the day. They're after nights. I can't take any more groups. So then I started reaching out to Craig Tapping. He was about the only person in the space that I trusted his work and had a similar style to mine. So then he came in, and then I just kind of, they joke that they say I ensembled the Avengers. So I've picked I've brought together all the best people in the field at what they're good at. So Tung, with his macro analysis, already had a large following from what he did and respected there. Craig Dixon from fundamental analysis. Jonathan Evans through time cycles and stuff, Frank Watkins, who've been training for 6 years. So I've kind of ensembled all these amazing people at their field, and just also not just that they're exceptional at what they do, but they're also very good people, and that's the most important thing, is that they actually want to help people and see them succeed. But so that's really it. It's just gone from one thing to the next. And I think just, the community is amazing. Like, everyone just, Leo got the community award just on the weekend, and he actually had tears in his eyes from the friendships that he's built throughout most of the market. So I thought they actually knew each other. I thought they were mates and they came into the course together. They weren't. They were brand new.
No.
And now they've just got this friendship for life from, being with each other every day and working together and stuff like that. So, even that in itself, finding those kind of friendships and stuff like that. And as you know, you're a product of your environment. So if you're in a community of people that are all working towards the same thing and driving towards it, you kind of pick each other up when you're down and you help each other out. And that's really how it's all stemmed up from there, really.
Yeah, product of your environment, and when you get to create an environment like you've done organically, because that's what it is. It's just come organically, and there's a need for it. It's so good to see people actually valuing that and getting that out of it. I love the example you used there. You thought they were mates, but they sort of met in there. I'm sure you can reflect on your journey and your circle of friends now, from you putting yourself in certain environments. I know for me, definitely. Like I don't associate with anyone from my past. That scares a lot of people out there who have probably got some people around them now. There's nothing wrong with them people. But when I started like valuing myself and like improving my parts of my life that I wanted to, surrounding myself and putting myself in the, I look around at my friend circles now. I've met all of them on the road in courses, at retreats. They're all my friends now. And it's like, find your tribe. Like a lot of us don't get that until we actually look around and go, wow, my life's changed from what I've been doing. But wow, look at the people around me. And that can grow and evolve too. But it's so good to hear that your students or clients, whatever you want to put them, your community is actually getting that now. And oh, mate, it's a scary proposition for you. I think it's just going to keep growing.
Yeah, well, I guess the thing that makes sense now, but looking back, is that most other companies, they're traders that are just like, I've traded, I've made money, I'll do this kind of side gig and teach people how to do it as well. But at the end of the day, they're not teachers, and then it doesn't mean if you're learning maths, English, or financial literacy, the pedagogy, the learning, the way people learn, it's all the same. And these guys aren't experts in how to teach people. And I think that's probably why we've seen such big success, is because we are a financial school. I was a head of curriculum deputy. I've brought in actually the deputy from my school. She doesn't know how to trade or invest to save her life, but she's not in most markets to do that. She's in that because she's very good at knowing how to run a school, very good at knowing how to unpack data, tracking students and stuff like that. Because it doesn't matter, like I said, if they're doing maths, English, or to learn how to trade, it's the same thing. It's their learning. So I think that's probably one of the biggest things, is that we are qualified educators. And like I said, I did a 4-year degree as a teacher. I was still terrible. It took me 10 years to become a good teacher.
Yep.
So how do these other people that aren't teachers expect to train people how to learn something when they're not teachers? That in itself is its own skill set. It doesn't matter if, and a perfect example is Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time. He bought the Hornets and everyone was, oh my God, this is going to turn into the next Bulls. It was terrible, because just because he's a good player doesn't mean he's a good coach, doesn't mean he knew how to do good picks, doesn't mean he actually was the opposite. He had no idea how to be a good coach. So yeah, prime example, just because you're good at your craft doesn't mean you can transfer that skill onto other people, which is essentially what people need. I don't care that you can trade, man. I care that you can teach me how to trade, So my biggest strength is not me as a trader. It's me being able to break these complex things down into beginner steps for other people. That's the part that resonates with people, because this is why they get those light bulb moments, because that's what I did for 10 years. I was a primary school teacher. I broke shit down into basic, simple steps. So yeah, that's probably why we've seen the success that we've seen.
Such an important point. And it's like, it's easy to point out other people doing similar things in our spaces and all that sort of stuff. And you can come from a place of, well, mine's better than them because again, there's plenty of people out there that have got the best skills. I can look at some of the best influencers out there. Now, I don't see myself as an influencer. They talk the talk and all that. But when it comes to relaying and communicating on to people to help make a difference in their life, it's like, it doesn't move the needle. It doesn't. And it's like, I think again, what I love about you guys is you've got some like great momentum and people are really getting into it and everything like that. And what's the saying? The proof's in the pudding. It's like the social proof from you guys is, I love seeing it. Like it's so good. Social proof talks. It's like at the end of the day, for the people out there that are tuning into this, listening, what have you got coming up that they can at least experience or check out the community? Have you got any events coming up, or have you got any?
Yeah. We've got actually GC Live coming up in 11 days, so the 21st of June. So what that is because all our learning's online, and I missed the classroom. I'm like, guys, we're going to do a big event on the Gold Coast Live. We've already got over 100 people coming, and it's going to be very hands-on practical. So it's that stuff that you can't get online. So I've been able to talk to others, talk to peers. I'm going to put some charts up about, okay, as a team, work together on this. What do you think? Is it bull? Is it bad? I'm going to put up like naked charts so you don't know what it is. So the idea is I'm going to teach them some key things that I always look at charts so they can actually walk away with some skills. Then what I'm going to do is put up some naked charts and say, what do you see here? Is this good or bad from the stuff I've just taught you? And then I'll be like, well, that's the NASDAQ. Oh, well, that's Bitcoin. Oh, well, that's silver or gold. Then they can kind of go, oh, okay. So they'll walk out of there not just going, oh, he thinks this is good or this is bad. It's, well, actually, I think this is good or bad from just the things I've just learned. You know what I mean? So you walk away with some skills, some hands-on and learning that way. In going back to what we're talking about there with the, we've found success with that teaching that. Again, that also, you got to, think back at school, you all had like favorite teachers and stuff like that as well, people that you connected with and this or that. So it doesn't necessarily mean that, we think that we're the best or anything like that. Definitely not. It's just find someone that you relate to, that teacher that you connect to, whether it's over here or over there. If you can find someone that you actually enjoy listening to and that is getting you down the path, that's what matters. Because at the end of the day, you have to have that connection and that with that person, because otherwise it's just, as I talked about at the beginning, getting that connection with those students was what was important. Doesn't mean that I was a better teacher than their previous teachers, but what mattered was that person could relate to me. As I'm sure you find with your
rapport and relationship.
Yeah.
It's the key. It's the first. I do a lot of sales and doing some more high ticket sales and everything like that.
Mm.
Rapport is the first thing. Without rapport, good luck. You could be saying whatever and all that sort of thing. And again, at the end of the day, relationship building, rapport, simplifying stuff. I think that's one of the things too, because I relate that to the emotional stuff too. People have got their own structure of reality. They've learned things a certain way. They've developed a model of the world. So if you don't have rapport, it doesn't matter how good a teacher you are or how good your charts are, how good it is. Without that piece, you might as well be just saying blah, 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 blah. That's the thing. And then on the other way around, if you focus predominantly on that relationship building, on continuing to build rapport, you could be teaching the simplest thing out there that could give the biggest breakthrough ever and give them the best results ever. Yeah. I love the live events, as you know, too. So I love what you were just sharing about how you're going to go about it, get them like immersed in it, give them an experience. Because again, that's what I love about live events myself. I can go and teach all the things, but getting them to go through stuff and getting their own perception, you're leading them to their own ahas, their own or their own, the ahas could be like, oh shit, I actually do know that. I didn't know how to do that. Go.
And it's the networking too. Like you just never know what friendship might stem from that, or that, it's that sometimes it's just one conversation that's like, oh man, that one conversation was worth this whole trip kind of thing, like you can't beat that face-to-face in person thing, which can be daunting at first, when you don't know as many people and this and that, but yeah, they're always well worth it.
It'd be like me, the first event I went to, I was like glued to my chair and like, what world have I got myself into? Because I was still in the mines and I was looking for something else and I was like frozen. It was uncomfortable. Now, if I'm sitting in an event and sitting there and someone else is talking, I'm getting frustrated because I should be the one up the room running the event. It's like, it's such an interesting, I did this at an event last year. There's 180 people there and the whole thing, I knew everything they were talking. Well, there was a couple of things. I'm not going to be fully in my ego. There was a couple of things that I learned from you, but the big lesson I got from the 5 days was, holy shit, I'm like playing way too small. I need to be running these events. Like,
Yeah.
so
No, I
interesting.
agree. I agree. And whenever I taught a lesson, I always believed that, because whenever in my own classroom, I had A students, E students, C students, but I always had that mindset of everyone showed up today to learn something new. So if I haven't taught them something new today, then they didn't need to come to school. So what was the purpose of them being here? So that's the same mindset I'll have about this GC Live, is that whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or even advanced, I can guarantee every single person will walk away there going, I learned something new, because that's exactly how I always treated my classrooms. So yeah, I'm always a big believer in that. You don't just pigeonhole one group or this or that, is that there's all these different like differentiation. Make sure that you're catering to the needs of everyone that's coming to that event as well. So now I'm looking forward to, a couple of the beginners going, oh man, that's really cool. Intermediate getting those light bulb moments, hopefully. And then the advanced people going, oh shit, I didn't know that. And yeah.
That last one's the thing that lights me up, because there's always a challenge to me. Like, I just ran another retreat and some of the men have already been one of my retreats and all this. I know that the new people are going to get breakthroughs just by being there. But in my mind, I'm like, cool, how can I like present this, or how can I bring this, or how can I do this similar activity that has these guys that have been on the path for a while go, whoa, I didn't understand that, or I didn't get that. Oh, wow, that's a different thing for me. That's something that really drives and lights me up. That's that creativity piece too. Man, as always, I'm going to go to wrap this up because we could go for ages. This has been epic, man. This has been really, really good. I'm going to put a bunch of links and everything down the bottom. Definitely one to your event if you've still got tickets to the GC Live.
Yeah. So if you go to www.masterofthemarkets.com, you'll be able to find the tickets in there. They'll be up in the banner.
Yeah, I'll put that link down below. Again, we've covered a lot of ground today. I'm sure people tuning in, listening in, have got a lot from this. Definitely go back and listen to it again. We did go over a few things that might have sounded like difference, but we're talking about similar stuff, and especially around the emotional and the psychology. And that I really do love that, mate. You're doing great things in the world, like you really are.
Thank
And
you.
I'm not playing that down a little bit. I know you're a humble guy. But the evidence is everywhere. I actually need to stop. I have to scroll past your stuff on social media now because it's all good. I would love to catch up for another chat in the future, because there's so many things like that I'd love to chat about, like the whole brand thing, the ASX Trader stuff. And I thought we might have touched on it today, but again, heaps of value anyway. Check out ASX Trader on all the things. Where else, to close this out, where else can people see you? Because you've been writing for a few publications and everything lately, man. I've been celebrating you on the sideline. It's been epic to see. But yeah, let people know out there, where else can they see some of your work and some of your more contrarian views?
Yeah, so probably the best place for free would be on Facebook. So just type in ASX Trader. Make sure you're finding the right one, because there's about 100 different scammers as well. So make sure
In
you
my
find
inbox, I've
me.
got a bunch of them, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, or on X and etc. as well. But yeah, I do a weekly article in the business section for News Corp as well. And yeah, there's been some absolute rippers in there. If you've been reading them, you'd be very happy, because there are a lot of things about being bullish on platinum and silver and that, and they've just started to really take off recently, uranium, etc. So yeah, if you want to kind of get my kind of inner head, all my kind of knowledge, I kind of put into a couple of hours work into those articles, and they can be quite powerful. But again, you can find them on the website at masterofthemarkets.com as well.
Yeah, awesome, brother. Again, thank you so much for your time today, your insights, and like getting a bit to know like Dave, the guy behind ASX Trader that everyone sees out there, man. I see it and I really appreciate it, all that you're adding to the world. And again, coming onto the Wild Man Revolution show, the podcast. Check it out on Spotify, everyone, YouTube, and everything like that. And definitely get in contact with not only Dave, mastering the markets, doing great things out there. Any last words before I round it up, mate?
Nah, just thanks for having me, and yeah, look forward to jumping on again sometime soon, buddy.
Awesome, brother. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.